I am grateful and thankful to God that we got a guilty verdict, and that gives me some closure in the fact that my son didn't just die in vain. I feared for some time that that there wasn't going to be one. Not that I didn't think that the evidence and everything pointed toward him, but it's just the fact that it's always that doubt in your mind that this could go either way. But I thank God it went the way that we prayed for it to be, and that's a guilty verdict, because now I can kind of move forward with my life. It won't bring JaRon back, but it gives me some closure that Terrence Moses would never walk the street of Tennessee again and destroy any other lives like he has ours.
We just thank God that justice was served, and we thank God that all went as we expected it to go, and we just look forward to moving on with our lives. Young JaRon lost his life at a young age unnecessarily, and we just thank God that all worked in our favor, and we're just glad that it's a done deal now, and that we wasn't looking for the death penalty or anything like that, and we pray, and we have forgiven the guy that done the murder. We have forgiven him in our hearts, and we're just going to move on, and we pray that he find forgiveness with God.
I've been praying for forgiveness for Terrence Moses, because I know in my heart that only God can give life and take life, and Terrence Moses had no right to take my son's life. And I pray that every day that he has sleepless nights like I do, and I pray that every time he take a breath that he thinks about my son, JaRon Collins, who will never get to have life because he robbed us of that. He robbed me of his future. I never get to see him graduate high school. I never get to see him graduate college, get married, have children. He has robbed me and my family of that because he chose to be a menace to society. Unlike him, my son had a future. I guess apparently, I don't know what type of childhood he had. JaRon had family, parents, siblings, everyone that loved him dearly. And for somebody to just come along and take his life like that innocently and senseless for no reason, I pray to God that God has mercy on his soul and the souls of those who assisted him with trying to get away with this crime, because it was such a heinous crime and it was really senseless. There was no sense in him taking an innocent child's life, even another person's life, out of anger. That's not the way to solve a problem. When you're angry with what's going on with you and the individual, you need to try to find a solution to that problem by working it out. And gun violence and violence, period, is just not the answer. JaRon was a great kid. JaRon had a lot of inspirations in life. He wanted to become his goal was to become a forensic scientist. That's what he always wanted to do. And part of that is from seeing his mother growing up around me in law enforcement and being around my law enforcement friends. He developed an interest for becoming a forensic scientist. That's what he wanted to go to school for. His plan B that he wanted to do was become an NBA basketball player. I used to always tell him, son, it's more to life than playing basketball. But that was one of his hobbies, one of his goals. He had the love of basketball. That was his love for bouncing that ball, whether it was basketball. He even played football at one time because he just loved any type of sports, but I think basketball was more of his heart. But he was a humorous, he had a great sense of humor, humorous young man. He was a God-fearing young man. He loved people. He loved to make you laugh. He was a comedian in his own little way, because he knew how to brighten your day. If you were sad about something, he would just come up to you and smile. He'd just come up to you and smile. It would make you smile. And he was such a wonderful, great kid. Never gave me a problem a day in his life. And I miss him so much. It's not a day that goes by that I don't miss my son. And even though I say all the time that I loved him so much, but God loved him more, because I do know he's in God's care now, and that gives me such great peace in my heart to know that when he lost his life at such a young age and in such a senseless way, I know that God took him in his arms, and he's there. He's my guardian angel now. He's down here he's up there watching over me while I'm down here doing the same thing and dealing with the same kind of people that took his life. And I thank God for the 17 years that he did give me with my son. And now that we have some closure, that Terrence Moses will be spending the rest of his life in prison, I can rest in peace, and my son can rest in peace now.